What have we got today? Well, you can guess because it's right in front of you. That's the Roland Boss. I call it Roland Boss because, well, Roland's behind it somewhere. The GX-100, which in my view is really, it's almost like a replacement for the GT100. The review I did a while back on a GT100. And loads of people like that review. Well, I hope you like this one too, because it's going to go at least in the same sort of depth, if not further, for this incredible new amp simulation come IR expletive, let's call it that. Let's go and take a closer look at this device and how it comes and everything that you want to know about it that you can never find out from anybody else. Only here on the Tony Mackenzie Close Up, Inside and Out review. So let's have a look what's inside the box and exactly how it comes. Actually, I've never opened this one yet. This is a first time for me as it is for you. I'm just like you. I paid for it. Here it is. Let's get in there and see what you get. So here we go, getting this thing out of the box. Well, what you get? You get a whole load of power supplies down that end. But let's get this unit out first. I can't wait, can you? Well, there it goes. And as well as that, you get your manual. And you get this power supply, which at last is a decent one. None of this rubbish stuck on the wall with the wall warts. And of course the box. Let's get that thing out of the way. So this thing's extremely well wrapped, as they always are from the likes of Boss and Roland. You know, these guys, I always like them because I think they take a lot of care in the product and how it's presented to you. You know, let's get rid of that. But you can see straight off, right out the box, as I pull this out, and just as you would, it's absolutely pristine and perfect. You know, even from this side of the fence where I'm sitting, this thing's built to last. It reminds me so much of the GT100, but brought up to date, if you follow me. You've got things in this that the GT100 would have dreamed about, and so would you at the time. You would have dreamed about the features and the rest of it that's in this. It's an awesome piece of gear for what it is. It's absolutely solidly made. As I said, it's the first time I've seen it too, but I'm really impressed, especially for the price. And we'll come to the price later. But first of all, what I want to do, as I always do, is open this darn thing up and take a close look inside and see what you really get for the money. You know, all the things that other people never show you. And they're so important, whether you're gigging or whether it's in the studio or even at home. What you don't want is a piece of product failing just out of the box or within 3 or 6 months or something. And if you're out on the road with it, which you could be on this device, well, that's even more important. So let's take a closer look at what it's really made of. Hold on. Well, I've got the back off. It only comprises of a number of screws and you can just lift the back out of the way. As you can see, it's quite a compact device, but it does have a number of boards inside. This one here looks a bit like the power board plus the processor board, also stuck together. A bit more of that later. We've got this underlying board that seems to feed the screen, this one down here. And it probably has a lot of the switches on it too. You've got this other one here that handles the floor switches as opposed to the ones that are on the circuit on this one. And at the top here you've got the secondary board, that's the primary board. I call this the secondary board for the other foot switches on the outside of the case, if you get me. So all quite nice. Down there of course you've got the board and controls that handle the well, you could call it a wah or you could call it a volume pedal, call it what you like, because it's probably adjustable and settable for different things. So let's just go a little bit closer here and just see what we get with this unit. I can't really pull this board off, not easily, and I think even if I did, there's not much to be gained because I think they're using as always in Roland Boss equipment, they tend to go for processors that they develop themselves. And in my opinion, I think that's a very good thing. But we'll also look at the maybe items that could cause trouble and things like that by zooming in a bit closer. So hold on, let's get in there. Okay, well, we can see the main board. Here it is. And it's connected with these sort of flexible connections to the other equipment. In fact, this one zooms off, I think, yeah, to the screen under there. Then you've got the secondary board, this one around the edge there, you can just about see, that then goes off down underneath these other boards to the right here, which we're going to take a quick look at. We've got another connection here, which is another one of those sort of flexible connections. And we've got a couple of chips here that I think Cirrus Logic. Maybe I'll look at them later or not. But what you've really got to look at is the overall quality of the product. And I think it's very important on equipment like this. You know, they get thrown around a lot and messed around a lot. And, well, they need to be very robust and reliable. I think those are the most important statements that you could possibly make about any of this type of gear. One of the things on this one is the power comes in just there, if you can see it. So this board's got a sort of regulator on it and things like that. And then you've got this, well, this chip here. I can't tell you what that is because, well, to be honest, I don't know. They don't seem to tell anybody, except maybe Roland Boss authorised repairers and that sort of thing. Well, the question is, would they even repair it? Wouldn't they just flip a new board on and carry on if they were going to do a repair? Because I can't see you easily going down to repair all this sort of stuff like this. If you take a look at it, it's quite, well, it's microscopic almost. And I'm not so sure that it's really worth the effort. Now, there is another one of these chips underneath the board through the side. I can't easily strip this up because I've got to pull this off, and I don't really want to mess with these because, well, I've seen them before where you can have bits of trouble and things like that. But if you wanted to pull it out, you'd have to undo all the things across the bottom here. What's that screw and that screw? I take this off, and it's really not worth the effort because, well, I don't want to damage this one in any way. What I really want to do is show you the quality, and that's the most important thing. You can see there's a capacitor or two kicking around here, and there's more of those further along on the I/O board, or what I call the I/O board. They call it a jack assembly board or something like that. Now, some of these boards do actually have names on them, but I can't see a proper name on this board, so I'm going to call it a processing board, whether it is or it isn't. I can't get to that chip underneath, like I said, which is a pity. But in any respect, it doesn't really matter, because most of the stuff that I've ever seen from Roland Boss has been absolutely, well, generally exceptional in the build quality. It's a pity I can't say to you, oh, it's this chip or it's that chip. And if I find that information later on in the documentation, well, I'm more than happy to share that with you. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there'll be any mention of what it really is as a chip. Okay, well, I've moved up a little bit. This board here is responsible for those adjusters that are underneath the main screen. So that's where that board is, and it's sort of connected together, and so is the screen and all that sort of good stuff. But you can see again, the quality is pretty much exceptional, really. And moving even higher up, you can see these here. What these are is these are the foot switches that are on the top that you'd press for different presets and things like that. You can see that goes along inside, and there's 5 of them on this, well, I'll call it the bottom row, although it's at the top on the item we're looking at. And if you go down a little bit to there, you can see there are some more of them below on another PCB across here. You can see it there. This one's called a pedal board 1, and this one's called, up at the top, pedal board 2. So you get the idea about them, don't you? And moving along to the end there, what you can see there is the volume control, or you could call it a wire control if you want. Call it what you want, but That's basically where it is, and it's just a little PCB. Some wires come off into the main area, the main board assembly. However, moving along from the board that's got the chips on it, the big square chips, there's one on the other side, remember. If we scroll across a little bit, we get this board here, and this is called the jack board assembly. You can see it there. Although it's upside down, you Australians would have a great job of seeing that. And what we've got on here are lots and lots of connectors across the bottom. More on that later. We've got some relays, we've got some capacitors and various chips mounted on that board, which are really, I guess, because it's called a jack board, it's probably looking after all of the I/O that you might want to consider. What's important about that, in my opinion, are these connections that are across the bottom and are actually mounted onto that board. So if you're going to get any problems, you might get problems around this area. You might not, of course, but they're prime because they're actually stuck to the board, as often is the case with this type of equipment. And moving back a little bit, you can see this area here where you've got loads more sort of stuck on the board and fastened to the back. You've got a couple of MIDI connections there. You can see again, them are fitted on that I/O board. Now it's really a pity that I can't tell you exactly what that chip is, or the one on the other side. That could be a screen driver chip, who knows. But in any case, I think even if I actually pulled this board apart and showed you the chip on the other side, it probably says Roland or Boss on it, or both. And I think that's where it'd stop anyway. If you think back to have a look at the demonstration and the video that I did on the GT-1000 core, you can see in that unit that there are sort of similar chips that have these Roland denominations, and they're really a little bit difficult to define, except to say that if you did have a problem at any time on those chips, if you can't get them from Roland, you aren't getting them. That's that. That's what I would say. But Roland are a friendly bunch generally, I think. I've never personally dealt with them, but they seem to have been in business a long time, and you don't stay in business a long time by being a bit of an idiot, do you? It's usually all about great customer service and things like that. And I don't doubt Roland's customer service. Well, I know. I mean, that's a quick look inside. I haven't gone to the nth degree with this product because, well, to be honest, I don't really think Roland is a type of product where I need to. I've always had really great results from Roland products, and I've never really questioned most things. The odd thing I have, but most things from Roland Boss seem to be very well made, very robust, very reliable. I don't think I've ever had a Roland product actually fail. You might have though, and if you have, well, why not put it down in the text about any problems that you might have had over the years, whether it be, I don't know, a GT-100 even, or them older ones. You know them, same as I do, unless you knew. And if you knew, well, all this is new to you, of course. But the thing is, it's showing you what you're actually buying as opposed to what you think you're buying from those sales videos that get up there. There's no comparison. It's the only place you're going to see what you're really buying. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back together and flip it over, and we'll have a quick look at the top and the back and that sort of thing. And then we'll move on from there. And then we'll cover all the sort of specifications, and we'll have a run through with some of the software and things like that. We'll have a bit of a close-up of what's going on with this unit. And of course, at the end, somewhere, there will be some playing. I don't know what I'll play. It could be anything. I usually play what I like to play, not what you like to hear. But don't worry about that. I'm biased in the music. I'm not biased in this, though. If this turns out to be not very good, I'll be telling you. However, if it turns out to be awesome, I'll be telling you too. Well, here's a quick shot across the front, but I'm not really worried too much about the front right now, because what we're going to do is turn it round and have a look at the back first. I think that's important to get rid of the I/O aspect. You know, If it hasn't got the I/O that you need, well then it's probably not suitable for you, is it? So let's have a look at the back first. Okay, well remember we're only interested in the back for now. It proudly says it's a Boss, a GX-100 guitar effects processor. And you know that includes the amp simulators and the places you can put the IRs and the effects and the this and the that and the other. But more of that later. Moving across a little bit, this is where you'll put your guitar for the input. It proudly states Roland Corporation underneath. You've got a ground connector there if you want to connect it to ground for some reason, maybe home or many other things. On the output side, we've got a right and a left. Left is mono, as normal, as you find on most of this stuff. And then we've got a headphones connector, which can be useful for some guys and not for others. We've also got a send and return, so we've got a loop going on here with a ground lift or not, depending on where you put that. Now on the way through, in passing so to speak, I want to just show you those CE approvals underneath. You've got CE approvals, FCC, and you've got the new UK CA approval, which is very similar to the European CE, except that's a UK one. But there's a few depending on which sub-country you're in. Let's put it that way round. You've also got the ROSH and the WE compliance. And this one, by the way, if you can see there, is actually made in Malaysia. Now, they used to be made in Japan at one time and Taiwan and places like that, but it sort of moved around a little bit. And I think that's might be really relating to the cost of, manufacture and assembly. It gets cheaper dependent on where you do it. I'm surprised it's not in China, but I'm glad it isn't right now. Moving further along here, after the send and return, we've got this amp control 1 and 2, and here we've got an expression 2 socket. Expression 1, of course, is on the top. That's the one you use from above. We'll come and see that presently. We've also got a MIDI in and a MIDI out, which is nice because they are actually normal MIDIs. Now you might say, well, Tony, what are you talking about? Well, if you go and have a look at the GT1000 core, they've got these tiny little connectors, which are a bit of a pain in the neck, and these aren't. So, yeah, good on you, Roland Boss. Now moving along a bit more, you've got this optional Bluetooth dual adapter required for Bluetooth support. So you can put an adapter in there. You might be able to fit it now or not. I'll let you know later. But if you want to use Bluetooth, well, I don't. Also, you've got the USB connection that can go off to a PC. You can stream through that and that sort of thing. And of course, you can also control the PC with software that is also going to connect generally through that one. The other thing I like to see, it's got a real on and off. Now, you might say to me, Tony, that's nothing. Everybody's got one of them. They've all got them on. Well, no, they haven't. Some of them are absolutely atrocious and you can't do this and you can't do that. This one's got a real on and off switch. And am I glad to see that? We've got the DC in, and that's a PSB 1U adapter. And that comes with the pedal. That's all good. And then cost you 25 quid if you want to go and buy one of them separate. So that's good. And you've got the thing for stopping your cable, wrenching this thing apart. That's all nice as well. By the way, coming back to that expression 2 socket, well, Roland Boss do harp on about using only their expression pedal, as other expression pedals can cause the unit to malfunction. Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? Okay, here we are around the top, and this is your first real view, really, of the unit being turned on. And there it goes. This is what you get. Yeah, GX-100 guitar effects processor, version 1.09.0127 on the one that I have. And remember, this is the first time I've turned it on, just like you. You're sitting above it right now. How awesome's that? First thing you want to do with this is whip across to these in-out settings over here. and look at your input settings by clicking this. You can see this one's set up for guitar, and these are like initializations for, if you think about it this way, you're able to set the the load coming in from your guitar with this sensitivity. Now the thing about it is you can have different guitars, which is all nice. You can have guitar, bass, or whatever you fancy, I guess. I'm only interested in this video for guitarists, but that's life. Yeah, it all makes sense to me, and it probably makes sense to you. You're able to name and edit this thing depending on which one you want to choose. So plug your guitar in. I'm not doing that right now, by the way, but you can see the inputs here, and you can adjust the gain plus or minus here, and it's all good fun. Not much more I can say. You can carry on down these and do the same thing until you're happy, maybe with all your guitars and the rest of it, and you can write it or exit it. I'm just going to come out of that now. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that this screen's actually touch sensitive. I can touch that, and we can rename the particular setting as we need to. I'm not going to do any of that because I don't really want to do that, but you get the idea. Now, one more quick thing, just while we're in passing. If I go and have a look at the effects, I'm able to set that particular gain or reduction in gain per preset, and it can be done within here. But I'm not going to spend long on this, but you can. These in-out settings, I always like to cover these for guys that are new with it. The output select is also something that you want to choose, and that's all dependent on which type of amp you've got, so to speak. And we can sort of move down here. You can see them yourself with a bit of luck. It covers lots and lots of different types of amps that you might push this through into, whether it's a tube amp, Katana, JC-120, line phones for recording, or whatever. Now don't forget the global setting, which can be very useful. If you're playing different venues and you're going around these same venues all the time, it's very useful to be able to set global EQs up for different venues. You've got the last thing here, the output setting, which makes this either a professional output level, which is +4, or -10 for, the amateur type of guy. As you can see, it's also got a tuner built in, which you can get at from down here. While we're on this subject over here about presets and things like that, we've got 200 user memories plus 100 presets. On the phrase loop, we've got 38 seconds in mono and 19 seconds in stereo, which isn't that dynamic, I guess. We've got 154 types of effects, which is rather interesting. It's a 24-bit D to A conversion as well. And the A to D conversion is what they call 24 bits plus AF method. And the AF method is the adaptive focus method. This is a proprietary method from Roland and Boss that vastly improves the signal to noise, or the SN ratio of the A to D and the D to A converters. So, when you're getting Roland products and Boss products that are built on this technology, they're telling you you're going to get something a little bit better than some of the other stuff that's out there. Just while we're talking generally about this unit, it's 460 millimeters wide, it's 193 millimeters deep, and it's 73 high. And it basically, it's 3.5 kilos in weight, or 7 pounds 12 ounces. So it's easily stackable in bags and things like that. You can carry it around, and it's all good stuff. Remember, that's a touchscreen as well. Now, I know it's only a sort of 4-inch, give or take, pretty much like one or two others like the MX-5, for example. But this one seems to work rather better than the MX-5 one did for me. If you've got big fat fingers, well, I haven't. As you can see, mine are not particularly dynamic. But I know on the MX-5 that you kept getting all the wrong things all the time when you were touching the screen, and I thought that was a bit of a pain, whereas on this one it all seems to be much easier. Okay, well, closing in a bit and taking a look at some of the presets. You can see there, we've got the banks up and down, and we've got the actual presets down here. It's the usual sort of thing. You want to go up or down a bank. It's all pretty straightforward. You've got a bit of an instruction there on the title, and we can whip across banks we can whip across presets as you might want to. It's very much like most other pedals out there that are of this genre or style, and there's nothing new about any of that really. But you're able to go across on this one here. You can whip across. That's more like a sort of turn on, turn off pedal mode, showing you what's on and what isn't. But if we carry on across, we can get into the actual preset itself with the various sections that we might want to edit or mess around with. Okay, you can see all them there. Now, regarding this, there is a limitation on just how many you can have. That's usually the case. And on this unit, it's 15 plus 3, which is divider, mixer, send, return, and phrasal. They count as separate. So in effect, you've got 18, 15 are actual effects, and the other 3 are, well, what we just said. So it's limited a little bit on the number of effects or blocks that you can have across this. For example, on the GT-1000 core, you can have up to 24 what they call blocks, which might include some of the other I/O and things like that, as they do on this one. But as you can see, or you can hear at least, on the GT-1000 core, there are more blocks available, and that's the important thing. On many of the budget products that are out there, it's far less. I've seen them as low as 9. And that's a major consideration when you're using this sort of gear, because if you've only got a few blocks, well, you just can't do as much, can you? It's going to affect the sounds and what you can achieve with it. Now, one of the other things I like about this particular unit is things like this. Oh yeah, touchscreen and armor. Now that's great. Less so great if you're at a gig, but it's more so great if you're using it in your bedroom or in a studio or something like that. Quite nice. And if we whip along to a memory screen, we can actually even choose from here. There you go. See, I'm going across. It's all very clever. That's been well thought out, and I haven't seen that particularly on any other, well, not many other devices. Now this screen here that you see here, this is called a control mode. You can touch a screen to switch between banks and memories in the same way as when you use the put switches on the top panel. So if you want to just whip across, you might see, I'll tell you what, let me zoom out a bit. And you can see below that as I choose this, you're choosing the actual channel numbers or banks. I can move up a bank. Let's go to that one. Yeah, you get the idea. And of course we can go back with that. It's a very innovative idea that works better than anything else I've seen so far. This idea has even been extended to things like this here. Look, you see that? This is what Boss called the chain mode. No, not the chain gang, the chain mode. I love the way that these are shaped, by the way, which is different than all the others I've seen that I can remember again. You know, as you get older, it gets harder. But this chain mode, it shows how the effects are arranged together for that particular selected memory. And then this one's P01-1, the GX dual drive. Sounds great, doesn't it? You can't edit those effects chain at that point using touch operations on the play screen when it's in chain mode. If you touch the effects icon at the upper left, you can then start doing other things. There's a few more niceties as well. We can hit the control and expression. And we've got in here a number of things. And you notice this one, this controls the settings for these particular knobs that are down below. So if we want to hit that, you can see those are what they're set to. We can move those around so that for you, if you don't want to change preamp 2's gain, you might want to do something else. Well, you can set the control knob to do that. Again, it's another innovation that is easy. It all seems to be quite easy, and that's the magic thing about the GX-100 so far. Remember, I've only seen this as I am showing you. There's nothing to it, honestly. Now, when you're in this mode here, this control mode, you can have it in effect in two different settings. One's like memory and the other one's manual. And how you do that, how you move it around into either one of those, so you just whip across here and just have a look there. You can see memory and manual. So we can just simply hold it in and it'll flip across like so. You'll notice that the screen's changed slightly. And if we're in manual, we can turn these devices on or off, just like a, well, not that one, on or off, just as if they were a pedal board. And of course, in the other mode, if we flip that back, in this mode, we're actually changing the presets. There is also a menu button over here that allows you to change these things here. You can see there's a lot of things that you could change. We can set MIDI up, we can do the USB stuff, we've got control modes, hardware settings, play options, factory reset tuner, and other information. So if I hit information, what do we get? Oh, look at that. You can scan that and download the reference manual. Now that's innovation in its own way, and that's a very clever move by this company. I think, you know, it's geared towards everything being nice and easy. Even whipping into control mode, we can do this via the menu system, either for memory or manual, accordingly. Rather than pressing that C2 tuner button, you can do it from here. Depends what you want to do, you see. This is the great thing about this device. Now, I have showed you this chain mode a little bit earlier on, and it can be adjusted, if you will, or edited by hitting the effects up here. And if I take the wah, for example, let's zoom out a bit so you can see what's going on. If I hit the wah, I can turn it on or off, as you can see over there. All nice and easy. And we're able to move things around as well. But we're able to come and edit most of the stuff that's going on in there. I'm not going to bore you with it because, well, to be honest, it's pretty straightforward. And I don't want to make this into a 3-hour video. And remember, when I'm in this edit mode, for example, I've chosen the chorus there. I can change the rate just by touching the screen and moving it around. It's absolutely simple and awesome. And I can also pick these things up and move their location in the chain and things like that. It's pretty par for the course these days in a lot of respects, but not so much on even a touchscreen. I mean, the touchscreen is like the cream on the cake. If you want the truth, I think that's pretty awesome. Now, as you can see on the screen here, it's possible to have a divider that can separate two paths, if you will. It's all very common on this type of gear these days, in fact. But like I said, it's pretty easy to start doing it with this touch screen, and that's what I like about it. It's all just very innovative for what it is. What I've found is on a lot of equipment that it's all a bit difficult and you've got to go and get the software and all the rest of it. But more about that on the software later. But on this screen, for this particular product, I really like this. It reminds me, although it's completely different, it reminds me very much of the old GT-100 when it had its two screens. That was very innovative at the time. And I'm sure they sold millions of those devices. And I'm sure that this GX-100 is probably going to be a winner. And I think they're going to sell buckets of them. Taking another look at that menu button. You've got things in here like hardware settings, and we can just touch them. You can set up your amp control and all sorts of things. Look, matching, pulse, invert. So there's lots to go at, and it all is pretty obvious really when you start looking at it. Bluetooth doesn't work, of course, unless you've got the Bluetooth edition in there. And looking at the connector at the back, as you can see now, that looks to me like something you can buy as an addition, so could be good. You've got auto off as well, and a lot of devices these days have this sort of thing, and I've seen this before in Roland and Boss gear. It'll stay on for 10 hours. 10 hours of all things. Or you can have it so it doesn't turn off at all. Those sort of things. There's a million things you can go and look at. I'm not going to carry on showing on you forever, but you get the idea, I hope. Seriously, it's a serious piece of gear. You know, while the Boss GX-100 doesn't maybe sound quite as good as something like an Axe FX, whatever you want to call it, well, it might not, but then again, you ain't going to be spending 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 months learning how to use it. This thing's a doddle. Great, simple, easy to use. What more can you ask for? And I can bet you that the tones coming out of this will be pretty reasonable. Well, pretty reasonable to me. Now, it's possible to adjust the brightness of this and the angle that it works at, all the sort of things that you think you can do on a regular effects pedal of this type. Well, you can do it. And some of it's easier than others. You've got an output level that, well, it's there. You just turn it and away you go. And we've already covered a lot of the things in here. So it is a pretty innovative device, I have to say, and I'm very impressed with it. Of all the various pedals that I've looked at, this one just seems right. I do just want to show you the MIDI. We can simply zoom in from the menu and we can go and adjust the MIDI settings, or we can set up a program map for anything we want. It's all part of the course these days, but it is in there and it's all nice and simple to use. All you need are the parameters for whatever it is you want to control. That Bluetooth adapter, by the way, it's really for connection to mobile devices. You know, you could use either your phone, or you could even use something like an Apple, or an iPad type of thing, or whatever, I guess. And some people like to do that. Me, not so much, but it is possible to do it. And you buy the bit and plug it in, and away you go. The foot switch at the end over here can be programmed to be almost a controller of almost anything, as can the Expression 2 pedal. So you're not limited particularly with any of those sort of features, and they're all settable up. I don't really want to start faffing around with that, but you'll get it. I've already covered the aspect of the fact that there is a looper in here and it can be turned on and off with various pedals that you might want to assign, basically. I've covered how long it lasts for and all that sort of stuff earlier in the video, so I hope you didn't miss that. Now, for me, that's about everything I want to show you about the front of this thing and the back of it and the rest of it. And, there are other aspects I want to cover, which we're going to move on to now. Okay, well, here we are. We're able to open up the Boss Tone Studio GX-100 Tone Central. This software will allow you to control the device remotely on a PC, or you can actually download this onto, like I said, an iPad or a mobile phone or whatever. And it has its uses. You might want to be really, rather than just using the hardware, you might want to be controlling the device in a different way. Often that is the case. And if you look at this screen we've got here, it's a great representation of what we've already taken some sort of look at in the device itself. It's all good, basically. You can see each preset. We'll click one. A bit slow at fetching it. You can see that it's changing the actual preset on the device as I click these. Yeah, all very interesting stuff. And just a bit slow, I think. But that's life. That's what you get, and that's the way life is. So you've got the presets in there that I'm hopping between. We've got the paths on here. So if you click it, you can see what's going on. If we click a different one, we can see what's going on there. I'll turn this one on and off. So we can go to any of these things, and across the bottom are the parameters, all nice and easy to set up. I'm not going to spend too long on this because it's not really a tutorial thing. It's not a tutorial program or video to show you how to use everything in here. It's not really that hard, but like everything else, it can get rather boring if I sit there all day going through every aspect of this. There is a lot of it. But also the fact is that, well, to be honest, most people have seen this sort of thing, and this program isn't so different when it's on the Tone Studio for different devices. They're all sort of similar. And you can go and change things for the controls. And what I find about this software, when it's connected to the device, is it's all a bit slow. I mean, you can get at everything, you can change a mass of stuff. There's no doubt about that. And I suppose it's like everything else, isn't it? It depends what you're trying to do. You can see you can resize this thing, all sorts of stuff. So you're in the editor, but you can go to the librarian or actually to Tone Central, as you can see up here. If we click that, it takes you off. You need to be connected to the internet, by the way. It takes you off through all this stuff like this. These are live sets, and live sets are pretty much, well, they're like, how can I describe them? They're rather like preset packs, if you will, of different memory additions or settings. Let's whiz down these, and you can see that it's taking you through different settings or presets. It's part of the group, so to speak. There are a lot of them, and you can add them in here, and pull them down, and all the rest of them. You've even got bass tones, as you can see there. Bass amp starter collection, standard bass tones 2. Amp starter collection, SC, HB and SC, whatever that is. Who knows? I'm not going to spend all day doing that and learning about them, because I don't, to be honest, I don't really want to. I'm here to show you the equipment in general. You've even got a tuner here on Librarian. So we can pull in the live sets to here, and we can push them across into there, or into the user one maybe. Yeah, depends what you want to do. But it all becomes very, very flexible in downloading these presets, or these live sets, they call them. We've called them that for a long time now. Yeah, all very interesting. Add a live set, completed, okay. Well, is it completed? I'm looking at the library. Well, it looks like it is. So we can add other ones, just as easy, I guess. Let's go back, take another look. So if you want to end up with thousands and thousands of live sets or presets, or call them what you will, there they are. Add. Completed. Did it add them? Yeah, it did. So you can see that it doesn't take long to really build up some pretty major features. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of this for now. I'm not going to spend any more. You can see you can carry on all day with this stuff, back into the editor, and you can load them into this and edit them and mess around and, well, do what you like. Okay, well, what we're going to do is just open this GX-100 to do with the IRs. In fact, I think we can do it from down here. IR loader, there it is. And we're going to connect to this one here. Nice and easy, and say OK. And say load. And we're going to go down to the desktop, go in the GX100. I've got this one here, and we can choose any of these particular mics and what have you. I think I'll just choose that one, and we'll pull in, well, I don't know, a few of them. We can see there's loads of them in there. Okay. Here it comes. Okay, say OK, load to user 1. I can load it to any of these users, but I'll call it user 1. There it is. I can say load another. That one.
So I'll go and pull these in and then throw them across to the GX-100. From there, you can either use the editor, or you could even, I guess, go in on that screen there. So you can see they're going across easy enough. It's none of it's very complex, but it's what you have to do. Unfortunately, that's life. So I've got one for each of those 3 users there. And we've got up to 16 that we can throw in there. But I'm not going to spend all day doing it. I'm going to say thanks very much and goodbye. It's already connected. So cancel arm.
Well, here I am, back up top, so to speak, as they say in England. And there is the GX-100. Yeah, a very interesting device. Reminds me an awful lot of the old GT100, of the old days, so to speak. And it's built very similar as well. You know, in many respects, solid metal cases and all that sort of stuff. All the things that I like to see on a device that, well, let's face it, it's not going to really cripple the bank. I paid a little bit over the odds for this one. By the way, I had this one from, I think this one came from PMT in the UK. And I think on these devices, I'm not really sure on this one. I didn't go and look, I must be honest, but I think it's a 1-year warranty. If I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong. Don't correct me. Well, you could correct it down into the text below, which is always good because lots of people come and have a look at the video over a period of time. And I don't think that this particular one will be any different than any of the others. Just mounts up over time. So, what do I like and what don't I like? Let's have a bit of a summing up. Well, the first thing I like I said, is it's metal. It's a very robust device and it all feels so familiar from the older style of products from Roland Boss. I mean, let's face it, it's a standard. And I like this one because although it's in a sort of 4-pedal mode, I've got down there on the floor the GT1000 core still. And the reason I've got that one is I like the amount of blocks that you can have in there. I think it's up to 24, including the I/O. And this one's, I think, 15 plus 3, like I said earlier. So it's less, but less isn't always less, is it? Less can be more. It just depends what you're trying to do. But for what you pay and what you get, well, you get a lot for the money. On the core, you get a lot for the money, but for starters, you don't get things like these pedals. Things like that. There's a lot of things that you don't get. You don't get standard MIDI plugs like you do on this one, on the core, for example. So I'm always a little bit wary on these different devices, but this one seems to be offering a lot for a little, or a lot for an affordable price. Yeah, I also like the fact that it's got that software that allows you to go and edit the blocks and edit the parameters and all the rest of it. I'll give you a quick overview earlier, and I think that's good. You know, when you looked at the MX-5, it didn't even have software, and that was sort of £400, give or take. Well, that makes this one rather more better value, in my opinion. Although I wouldn't write the MX-5 off, because it's not that I dislike it. It's not the case at all. On the touchscreen, I really love the touchscreen on this device. It didn't go wrong, if you follow me. On some other devices, I've sort of gone for the menus and things like that, and been presented with the wrong result. On this one, it didn't go wrong on the touchscreen. Once, whatever I hit, I got. And even down to the little editing of the blocks and things like that, it was all pretty simple. And I must say, it's probably the best unit I've come across to date of all the different reviews that I've done. For a touchscreen, I think it's really clever, really is. What else do I like about it? I like the simplicity of a lot of this stuff. It's very easy to use. You know, when you're using these sort of things like this, and the foot switches, if you're working on the floor with it, you'll know what I mean. if you're doing a gig and this sort of thing, this is an easy device to use. And you can get most things actually without the computer, which matters as well. Nothing worse than, oh, I didn't bring the computer. And there you are at a gig. Well, you can do it. I think that's all good. I also like, although I haven't tried it, I have to say, I also like this option for the Bluetooth dual adapter for Bluetooth support. And you can buy this, I'm pretty sure you can. It says in the manual there is one. I've looked at this up the top here and it's all simple to follow on and the rest of it. Then you can have maybe an iPad and communicate that way, or do it with your phone, or loads of other sort of things. I like all of that stuff. I like the fact that there's 200 user presets and 100 from the factory. I like all of that stuff. I even like the on and off, which is fantastic. So let's talk about the things I don't like. Well, the truth is, there aren't many. There are very few things I dislike about this one. Here's one of them. Yeah, it's a USB cable. And guess what? These mean devils won't even throw in a $2 USB cable. How bad's that? To me, that's it. Well, it's sad. It's sad. They go to all the trouble. A great device, great power supply. You've got to download the manual. That's maybe a negative, but there are other answers to that. Yeah, and they leave out a 28 USB cable. Come on, you lot. Oh, we sell thousands of them. Oh, it's still only thousands at $2. I don't know. Go figure. Now listen, the other thing I dislike, I really don't like, is the IR loader thing. Now I've seen that so many times before on other devices from this company. It's a separate IR loader. You've got to faff around and then you've got to go in this and use a one or use a this or all the rest of it. And I haven't covered it in great depth, but I did sort of show it. And I think, yeah, fair enough. It's not going to have thousands of IRs to choose from in there. You've got 16 maximum, and you can choose them and mess about a little bit. And you know, IRs can be very, very important, particularly if you're recording, or you might want to mess around at home and learn about all that sort of thing. And I think this particular bit of software, it's a bit of a bodge. It's like an afterthought that's been strung in there. And you've got these two applications that never the twig shall meet. You can probably get at it from the screen, although I didn't bother to go that far and look at it that way. For me, I think that's a shortcoming when the IRs, they're so important. They're just so important. So, yeah, that's a negative. So, we come to the conclusions of what's the score on this device? What would Tony give it? Well, taking everything into account, and I mean everything, including that IR software, I'm afraid that takes it down to a 9 out of 10. But I have to be honest, a 9 out of 10 from somebody like me, that's an awesome score. Don't think that, oh yeah, well, it's not 10 out of 10. It mustn't be any good. Trust me, it's probably as good as you get. I haven't seen anything really dynamically better for anything like the same money. As I said, the things that I told you about that make this a great device really do make it a great device. And the one tiny little thing about that IR loader rubbish spoils it a little bit. But don't let it detract because, well, to be honest, when I put an IR in there that I like, I tend to stick to the one or two that I like, and I don't really wander off through thousands of others like some fractal audio guy might. That's not for me, and it's probably not for most of the people that would buy this. This is for the ordinary guys, just like me, and probably just like you too. So there we have it, the GX-100 AD, pedal, and I think it's awesome. for what it is. You might well too. I think what you need to do is to plug one in and try it. You're going to hear it in a minute of some of the things I play, but what I play isn't necessarily what you play. And I won't show you the thousands of different things that you can do with this. I'll just do a bit of playing and off I go. That's the end for me. But it's not the end for you. And I can recommend that you do give this one a go. And by the way, although it cost me about £499 to £500, that sort of money, I think it's worth it. I think it's of the value. Whereas some of the other stuff that I have reviewed of recent times, and down there in the text you'll find a link to the all the lists of reviews I've done on these effects units and these type of things, and they go from literally a few £100, well, all the way up to thousands, really. So what I'm saying is, give this one a whirl. Don't be frightened to go and look at it. It's probably going to do everything you want it to do. And that's it for now. Don't forget to go to www.TonyMcKenzie.com, where there's lots of reviews. Not this one, not the recent ones, but there are a lot of reviews still on there that people go to all the time. They go and have a look off and on all the time. That's worth the effort. And so is my channel. I could do with you subscribing so that I can, get this thing further than where it's at. It cost me a lot of money. Everything you see has been bought by me. And, it cost me a lot of money to offer this sort of video review of inside and out that other people never do. They never do it. They're all just interested in selling it to you. Well, I'm not. I don't sell anything. Hope you like this one. The playing's going to come up now. And I've been out of it for a little bit. I've been trade shows and all sorts of things. And it's different things going on. But I've got some more reviews coming up over the next few weeks. I've got one for a MIDI board that will fit inside a Mesa Boogie rectifier. Yeah, that's good. I've got one for an acoustic guitar from PRS that on initial purchase was a pile of you-know-what, and that was later corrected by someone in England. Let's leave it at that for now, and you'll get to the story of that review. It's an important review because it does tell you the tale of two cities, or the tale of two dealers, or something like that. You'll have to wait for it. I've got some other things as well to review. I've got a hot tone pedal over there. I've got, what else have I got? I've got masses of stuff. I've got that one down there, Discover a Delay, a friend of mine mentioned to review, which I will get to. I've got an intelligent harmony machine, which I've nearly reviewed. That's ready to come up. And I've got more stuff coming. So, till next time, listen to the guitar now, see what you think. I'll try and put on the screen what I did. Yeah, and I'll see you again. Now get out of here.